Oh, he's getting
Welcome,
hard work for the
everyone,
word.
to the Everything Show, episode 308. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with Steampunk Starraisin. What's up, bro?
Hey, this is Steampunk Starraisin at AmberStreet.com.
What's up, John?
Not much.
What's up, Connor Farley?
This is Connor Farley at connorfarley.com.
Mike D.
Hey, Joe. I got a computer question. Can you help me?
No. Okay, so Steampunk.
Mm-hmm.
How was your day today? What's going on?
I returned a magnifying glass, got my money back. It was an expensive magnifying glass. That's the awesome thing. It's like if you need like equipment, you can rent stuff for free. You just buy it, and as long as it's not damaged, you return it.
Really? So
Well,
how do they ever make any money from it?
You don't make any money, but you get to use.
No, how do they make
free.
money from it?
They don't.
So how do they stay in business?
Well, I mean, there's the majority of their sales they keep, and they have a return policy of 30 days. I can't remember the name of the store where I bought it from, but I returned it. It was a very steampunk-looking eyeglass, but I needed it for repairing a hard drive. But then I'm also tight on money, so then after I got done using it, I just returned it.
What's the difference between a street warrior and what do you say, a chaos generator?
Well, no. The difference between a warrior and a soldier is a soldier is trained to follow orders and work as a team. A warrior is similar to a soldier, but they're kind of like your Native American tribes, like the Sioux Indians in the Sioux Wars in the late 1800s. They were warriors. They were more trained to fight as individuals, as an army. You would.
James is like, what have I walked into here?
You would live off the land, and you would fight independently alone. For the most part, you did not fight as a team. You fought independently as alone. And
so you're a warrior. You're not a team player.
Well, I mean, I'm not. I would love to build up a team. I would love to build up my own collective.
You won't share the meat, basically.
No, I would share, but I don't have a team yet. I'm not the best at reading people, and so in order to
he's like Professor Xavier. He's trying to put together like an X-Men team.
Well
right?
done, Dean.
Wow, the S-Men?
The S-Men, steampunk, yeah.
Now I'm the butt of jokes again. But
no,
you just said you said you were gathering a group of people.
I guess you could say that. I don't know. I'd love to build up a team.
S-Men, this is our day.
What would you call the team?
Well, I wouldn't. It would be a revolution.
A revolution against what?
Against FICO Corporation, against Wall Street.
Fucking FICO. FICO gonna stick it to the
FICO
man.
Corporation is a fascist dictatorship that ruins a lot of people's lives. They have the power. One company has the power to deny. Their headquarters is in San Jose, California. They have the power to deny you a job, and they have the power to deny you a place to live. And they are not a federal agency. I run into a lot of people who are like, FICO score. Oh, that's a federal regulated thing. I'm like, no, it's not. It's a private, for-profit corporation.
James,
that's the power of God. They have the power of God over your life for the sake of profit.
Is that what Alex Jones says?
It's not Alex Jones. It's just a fact. I did my own independent research. It's something that they don't talk about in mainstream media. Another thing they don't talk about
Steampunk, you need to work out like James. Show those muscles. Show those guns, James. Show that shit. Show that shit. Move that muscle over. Move that muscle over.
I carry heavy backpacks. I'm starting to get muscular. No, I'm serious. I'm starting to get muscular because I carry a heavy backpack. I carry heavy load wherever I go. I really am. I really am.
Chris,
secret to working
gets the
out.
chicks with the hat.
Here's the secret to working out. Here's the secret to working out. You're not trying to do your max at one time. Just work your way up.
But yeah, FICO Corporation and Wall Street is destroyed.
James is talking right now. Hold on.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear him. The set had muffled. My apologies. My
All right,
apologies.
so he's
Trying to-
throwing
Well,
us on.
it's the same. It's the same for FICA. You know, attacking them. You got to start out like don't max yourself out. You got to work incrementally. You know, it's so there's a tie in there.
Exactly.
James, are you a physical trainer?
No, I just got steel weights.
Okay.
Free weights rule.
Yeah. I learned a
Not
long
that
time ago.
novelist. Not that pussy novelist shit that people do, man. You got to do like the free weights, man. That's the shit, man. You get that burn. It feels great.
Yep, exactly. Plus, I learned a long time ago, the older I get, I need to get stronger because we're living in a crazy world.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's like a street warrior, James.
Exactly.
Need to be able to snap somebody's neck.
Nah, I ain't trying to do all that.
No, I know.
Don't be saying that, Joe. People will start thinking you're threatening to kill them.
Oh,
Best thing to
no.
do defensively when you're fighting somebody, and but it would have to be a life or death struggle. The best thing to do would be to hit them in the Adam's apple. You could in theory, if you centered your punch right, you could break their Adam's apple.
Oh, we don't want. No, okay, we don't want.
That's in self-defense. That's only in self-defense.
Okay. We are not promoting anybody punching anybody.
No, I'm just saying in self-defense. I said that's the easiest way to take somebody down.
Alternatively,
Especially somebody if they're bigger than you.
Yeah, I would do like the doctor. I would try to talk them out of it, but they put their hands on me. Whole different story.
Wow.
Chris is like, I'll cut him up.
I'm not advocating murder. I just said self-defense. That's
I
all.
know.
Chris says, man, I'll cut a motherfucker if I have to. If he's in my territory, collecting bottles and cans and shit, I'll cut a motherfucker.
Damn.
He's got razors hidden in that hat, like that.
No, he
bowler.
doesn't.
Yeah, he does.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does. I've seen him in action, man. He takes that hat off and throws it like Odd Job.
Just talking.
Chris, how many hats do you own?
I used to have
Three.
Four.
You have three,
I have
right?
three. I have currently three.
Oh, see, I'm down on my Chris trivia. I know how many hats he has.
3 hats.
I used to have more than that, but I lost some of my hats when I got evicted.
Let's see how let's see how
show y'all
good
my
people are
hat.
with.
Hold on.
So
Let's see how good
somewhere
people are with. Hold on, Joe. Let's see how you are at Chris trivia. Do you know where Chris is from originally?
Pensacola?
Atlanta
No.
Braves hat right here.
Atlanta?
Braves on it.
No.
Atlanta, of course, Superman.
I have no idea. Where are you from, Chris?
I was born in Pensacola, but I was a military brat. I only lived in Pensacola 6 months after I was born.
So you were born in
Lived all
Pensacola?
around. It's like I don't have a hometown. It's like I'm from.
Well, he
the
said. I thought you said you're from Michigan or something.
No, I'm not from Michigan.
Apparently,
I
I'm not on my. Apparently, I'm not on my Chris trivia.
The closest place. I don't really have a hometown.
Atlanta.
I mean, hence, like, I couldn't go back to Pensacola. I don't really have any good friends there. I don't have any high school friends.
Dude, why don't you just go home?
Where? Where would I go? Where is
Your
home?
mom and your dad? I don't know.
Oh, because I'm not allowed to.
Why are you not allowed? Why don't you don't go there for Christmas and stuff?
Nope.
Why?
I'm not allowed to.
Shit. God damn.
Because my father is a cold-hearted motherfucker. He's quite cool.
Oh, come on. Come on.
No,
You don't
he
look
was
that bad,
abusive. He
Chris.
was an abusive son of a bitch. If you see the movie A Wandering Mind in the God Machine, the father character is loosely based on my father.
Which
With
Wow.
the flashback scenes of him smacking, you don't clean up your room, and then he smacks the Tom character. That's based on what I experienced growing up. My father used to give me a bloody lip. I used to think that, you smack your kids and give them a bloody lip. That's a good parent. That's a good discipline. But as I grew up and I learned psychology, I realized that was abuse. He was also very verbally abusive and very demeaning. And he was also hardly ever there. He's a hardcore defense contractor, more worried about his career than anything else. And so he was hardly ever there.
I'm sorry. Dude.
I've never had a good relationship with my father. He's an abusive fuck.
What about your mom?
Mediocre to poor.
What?
Sorry.
Wait, what?
Mediocre to poor relationship.
Wow.
My mom's kind of an enabler of my father.
She don't love you?
We still talk, but it's more of a business relationship.
business relationship?
Okay, now.
With your
The
mom?
Turner family is not a close family. Let me
Wait
put
a
it
minute.
this way. You want to hear some family drama?
Wait, no.
It
Hold
all
on a
starts
minute.
with my grandfather Ferner. My grandfather Ferner, who I never really knew.
But you're a
My father-
steampunk. You're not a Ferner no more.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not. But the Ferner is the precursor to who I am, and legally binding. My persona has changed to Steampunk Starraisin, and I'm living Steampunk Starraisin 24/7. So what used to be?
Can I ask you how many personalities do you have?
Just the one.
No, I have a question. What do
That's
you
my.
mean a business relationship with
But
your mom?
no, okay. But you got to understand a little bit of Ferner family history.
No, I don't want to know the history right now. I want to know about your mom. I want
I want to
go
hear
back
it.
to your mom.
This has
Wait,
to do
no,
with
no,
Don't listen to
you
Jim.
wanna
Tell us
know-
what it is.
Nobody in my family gives a damn. Nobody in my family gives a damn because that's the way the Ferner family is.
Does your mom give you money?
Because Austin Ferner, my grandfather Ferner, who I never really knew that well. Oh, sorry. They said I was talking too loud.
Well, tell them shut the fuck up.
So wait, did your mom send you money?
Or know about
She
Austin Ferner.
sends me a little bit of money every now and then.
So your mom sends you money and you...
This is like how
I have a deep voice.
do I need to point
Too loud.
out this is how Norman Bates started on Bates Motel. This is like the same thing.
Well, I'm just trying to have a power plug, and I'm doing a video of a live
Yeah,
broadcast.
tell that bitch to shut up.
Yeah.
I'm way too loud. Okay.
He's gonna get in trouble now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just ask the people who think that I am yelling. Did I sound like I was yelling?
No. I think they're trying to take you on, Street Warrior.
Yeah.
Tell him to get the ear started out.
Bring it on.
Okay. Okay. Well, I was just trying to filter out the noise with the headphones. All right.
Okay.
Hey, you're interrupting a podcast, bitch.
Yeah. Oh no.
I don't know.
Tell
said
her to get choke
All
off.
right, why don't we just-
I have verification that I wasn't
Oh,
yelling. People were uptight.
Right, James? What's that bitch doing interrupting our show, man? We're trying to hear the master pimp right here talk.
People are uptight nowadays. Nobody gives a damn about anybody anymore.
Chris, what do you mean?
I love you, Chris.
I want to go back.
I love you, man.
I want to go back to.
We all love you.
I want you to explain. You said you have a bed. Your mom don't care, but she sent you money. So.
Yeah, because my mom feels guilty for raiding.
But
my
your mom
grandmother's
loves you
estate.
because she sends you money. That's
Yeah,
not
but
a
it's
business
not.
arrangement.
It's more out of guilt. It's more out of guilt.
But you don't have to send
You
money.
gotta understand the big picture, man. If you don't understand the big picture,
Yeah, but
you're gonna be.
if your
God,
mom,
he sounded like Dennis Hopper there. You didn't understand the big picture, man.
Everything that started in my life and family drama-wise started with my grandparents.
yeah, but forget about that for now. Your mom loves you. She sends you money. You're saying she don't love you.
Yeah,
That's
no, she does it. It's almost like a payback because
I don't get this with you.
okay, you don't get this because you don't listen.
Joe,
I have to explain because it starts with my grandparents, and it trickles down from there. It's not that black and white.
But if your mom didn't love you, she wouldn't send you money. She was not going. She don't have to send you money.
She does it partially out of guilt too, and she does it in secret. She does it without my father's permission.
And you appreciate it, or you don't appreciate it?
I appreciate getting paid back some of the money that she took.
Took?
Yes, you got to understand. It starts with my grandparents. Like Steve Jobs said in his Stanford address, it started before I was even born. And it's the same thing with me. It started before I was even born.
All right, so explain your grandfather.
You got to understand. You got to understand the whole big picture, the whole history. Back in when I was 16, I was adopted by my grandfather so I could go to public school. And so my grandfather wasn't just my grandfather; he was also my foster parent. He was my stepfather. And when my grandfather passed away, he had over $500,000 estate, including stocks and bonds and beach property, all of which my parents sold. And the reason why they were able to circumvent my grandmother was they had my grandmother declared mentally incompetent, so they could raid the estate. And they basically, the $500,000 I was supposed to get went to paying for my parents' retirement. And that's the reason why my father was able to, he cashed all the stocks, sold the beach property, and was able to pay cash for a house in Milton, Florida. And he's retired and doesn't give a damn about anybody. And so my mom secretly sends me occasionally $100 here or there, or $200, without my father's permission, because my father doesn't want me to have any money. But so she does it secretly behind his back. But if it were up to him, it would be no money. And it's basically a partial payback for the $500,000 I was supposed to get anyway. So she does it partly out of love, but mostly out of guilt.
So, were you the executor of the estate?
I had power of attorney.
Then you had no problem.
Yeah, but no, when my grandfather died unexpectedly, power of attorney goes away. Power of attorney is only good when they're still alive. It's very complex, man. It's most people don't have the intellect to comprehend. They really don't, because I've explained it. I've explained it pretty clear. It's not black and white, but like, okay.
But wait a minute. You had power of attorney.
My grandfather, I had power of attorney, but power of attorney goes away when you
to who?
To nowhere.
That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Most people don't have the intellect to comprehend.
No, it's not that.
It's very simple.
It's not that. You can get a lawyer and you can fight that.
It takes money, man. I didn't have.
You have documentation showing your power of attorney. You're the executor of the state, right?
Well, I wasn't the executor of the state. The executor of the state is different than power of attorney.
Who's the executor of the state?
Executor of the state is named in the will.
I know all about it from my family. I'm asking you, who's the executor of the state?
There was no executor of state named in the will. Everything went to my grandmother, and she was managing. I guess you could say my grandmother was the executor of the estate. But my parents, immediately after my grandfather's funeral, had her declared mentally incompetent.
Chris, I'm going to explain something to you. Chris, regardless of that, I'm going to explain something to you, okay? Because I have a family now where I know about this, okay? If something happens to your grandfather, okay, then there's your grandmother.
Yeah.
Something happens where your grandmother's no longer.
Yeah.
Then whoever is the child, which is your mother or your father, they have the rights over the estate, not you.
But I actually have proof that my grandfather did not. My grandfather revoked my mom's power of attorney before he died. I have proof that he didn't want them to have control of the estate. What they did was very sneaky. When they had my grandmother declared eminently incompetent, took away her driver's license to make her dependent on them. They took over the estate and started cashing out everything.
Chris, was there a will?
Yeah, there was a will.
So if there was a will in your power of attorney, you didn't have it in the will?
Power of attorney has nothing to do with a will, man.
Okay, were you in the will?
I was not in the will because we didn't.
Then you're not entitled to anything if you're not in the will.
Well, basically, my grandmother, I trusted my grandmother, and my grandmother was going to honor my grandfather's wishes. But basically, my parents took over the estate. My parents weren't even there helping. I took care of my grandfather and changed his diapers for 2 years.
But it doesn't matter. There's still.
You're right. It doesn't matter. It's all about what my grandfather wanted. I have proof of my grandfather's intent. He revoked my mom's power.
If you wanted your grandfather's wishes to be fulfilled, then wouldn't you have gotten a will where you would be like your grandfather would have a will?
That's impossible to do when they declared him mentally incompetent. When they declared him mentally incompetent, he took over everything.
Who declared who mentally incompetent?
My parents had her declared mentally incompetent.
Your grandmother. But what about your grandfather when he was alive?
What about him?
He didn't fill out all this paperwork that you'd be in charge of everything?
He did. I had power of attorney up until the day he died.
And you didn't enforce anything?
I didn't force anything. What do you mean?
Enforce what your rights were.
I didn't have money to hire an attorney. You need to retain her fee.
You don't have... Okay, first of all, one, if you were entitled to so much money, you get an attorney, you say, this is what I'm entitled to, you show him documentation, and you would have paid him on your winnings.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense right there, what you're saying to me.
It does make sense. I had power of attorney until the day he died, and I didn't have any money after he died.
But you still could have gotten an attorney and had him get paid after he
money. I had no money.
No money.
No money whatsoever.
Because if you really were, you didn't even show anybody. You didn't even attempt.
Well, what I did was I had a verbal agreement with my parents that I would get $900 a month from the estate until my grandmother passed away. But my parents.
But verbal doesn't mean anything.
My parents. Well, verbal agreement in the state of Florida.
Forget about that. You weren't in the state of Florida.
I'm not going to forget about that. I'm not.
But where were you living? Where were your parents living?
My parents were living up in D.C., Washington.
Okay, but you're not in Florida. That's a law for Florida, though.
Yeah, but they came down.
Where was the
after
estate?
my grandfather died, they came down and were.
Where was the estate? In Florida or in Washington?
In Florida.
Okay. So, again, you had power of attorney. You didn't use it. You didn't go to a lawyer. You didn't even make any attempt to secure your.
Well, I passed away unexpectedly. I didn't.
I understand that, but you still didn't do anything like talk to anybody, free consultation.
Well, I went to a lawyer about a month before my grandfather passed away, and we talked about changing the will, but the problem was my grandfather was so feeble, he had a hard time signing his signature because he'd had a stroke. Okay. And the lawyer was like, why don't you reschedule and have him come back within a month to change the will, because we've had to get him to sign like 12 times just to get one legible signature. And do you really want to wear him out like that? And I'm like, you're right. Let's take a break and come back in a month and change the will. And that was my only attempt to change the will was a month before, but he was too feeble and already not that well then. So I was like, well, I'll come back in a month when he's rested up. And he passed away.
So you feel that you were entitled to all that money, and when your mom
because they didn't help. They didn't help out at all. I was there alone.
How long?
For 2 years, I was there alone taking care of my grandfather.
Who took care of him before your 2 years?
He took care of himself. He was only disabled for 2 years.
Okay, so your mom or dad never took care of him at all?
What I'm trying to tell you is a very complex story. Most people don't have the intellect to understand. But in the year 2000, he fell and broke his vertebrae. In the year 2000, he fell and broke his vertebrae. He was in a nursing home for about 3 months because he resisted physical therapy. And the nursing home was costing $5,000 a month. And nursing homes are greedy corporations. A lot of people don't realize that most nursing homes are just corporate chains. They don't give a damn about caring about the elderly. It's a death house. The sooner you die, the more they can cash out. And they were approaching my grandmother at the nursing home, and they were like, well, we need his stocks, and we need all of his property, and, even though Social Security is paying for the nursing home.
Wait a minute, so the nursing home took
my grandmother approached me and said, hey, they're not feeding him. He lost 50 pounds when he was in the nursing home. He was dying in the nursing home. They were not feeding him. And they were like, well, because like when a nursing home takes custody of an elderly person.
I know full well about it.
And so my grandmother approached me, and we took him out of the nursing home in 2001, and I took care of him without my parents' assistance. They didn't come down. They didn't help out. It was me alone. And sometimes my grandmother with assistance, but 90% of the time it was just me.
Okay.
So yes, I feel entitled to that estate. And that's also what my grandfather's wishes was. Because in 2002, my parents were even going to sell the house on Amber Street and make me homeless.
What did you sell for $40,000?
I sold the house on Amber Street, but here's the only reason why my parents didn't get the house on Amber Street.
You sold the house for $40,000?
No, not $40,000. It's complex. It's beyond most people's intellect to understand. I'm trying to explain.
Yeah, why don't you give some people credit, first of all?
I'm just saying. Okay,
it sounds very condescending.
Yeah.
In 2002, my parents, this is the reason why my mom got her power of attorney revoked. I'm going to show you the behavior
I don't.
that my mom had. No, hold on. You got to understand the full picture. In 2002, my mom approached me and said, we're going to put your grandfather back at a nursing home, and we're going to sell everything, and you need to get out of the house on Amber Street.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
And so what my grandfather did was he changed the deed. He did a quick claim deed. In 2002, he changed the deed to my name so that my parents wouldn't kick me out of the house. Right. And I wouldn't have to pay estate taxes because it was before he passed away.
But who's...
And my grandfather revoked my mom's power of attorney because he realized they were being greedy and didn't really care about anything. And that's the reason why my grandfather revoked my power of attorney. Or not my power of attorney, my mom's power of attorney.
Chris,
Yes.
who is related to your grandfather? Your mother or your father?
My mother.
Okay. So she's the daughter.
But I'm also the stepbrother.
But she's the. What are you talking about?
He adopted me at age 16. I am the stepbrother. I'm not just my mom's son. I'm also her stepbrother.
Chris.
I'm not. I'm just telling you like it is.
Chris, she's the daughter, Chris.
Yeah, but he didn't want her to have anything because she basically was going to give everything to my father, and my father didn't give a damn about anybody. And my father was making $150,000 a year at one point as a defense contractor, and had an affair, and was going to divorce my mom. And my grandfather didn't trust my mom anymore because he felt like she was going to give everything to my father, and he wasn't going to have the family.
So basically, you wanted your grandfather's wishes fulfilled.
Yes.
But you just lost everything.
But I lost everything except for the house on Amber Street. And the reason why I didn't lose the house on Amber Street was because my grandfather had changed the deed in 2002 before he passed away.
But you sold it.
I sold it in 2011.
For how much?
For $70,000, but then after I paid off my credit card debt, I got $66,000.
And it's gone.
Yeah, the money lasted 2 years.
Okay.
Money doesn't last forever, unfortunately. Yeah, if I had $1 million, it might last forever, because then you can get a 3% interest checking.
Okay.
And then that would be $30,000 a year that you could live on with $1 million. If you have $1 million, you could live on that for the rest of your life, because you can just live off the interest. But $66,000 doesn't last forever. I didn't realize it was going to be so hard to find employment. But part of the reason why it's hard for me to find employment is I have bad credit, and even freaking fast food joints now are doing background checks on you.
Why do you have bad credit?
Because I have delinquent student loans.
Okay.
But I have no credit card debt. I've paid off all my credit cards.
How old are you now?
45.
Okay, but you worked before, though, right?
I have.
Most
of my life I've been self-employed, though, or a caretaker for my grandfather.
Well, most of your life you've been self-employed.
I don't do well at most conventional jobs. I don't process information like most people.
So before you had the cane and before you had problems with your legs and everything, when you were like 18, 20, 21, 22.
I've worked at Burger King and Taco Bell and McDonald's, but I never could make enough money to live on.
But okay, so you went for school and college, and you never wanted to move up in retail. You never wanted to move up in anything.
Retail, you make minimum wage.
Okay, well, first of all, I worked 20 years in retail, and I worked myself up from stock boy to district manager. So, I made $4.25 in retail.
You can't live on that.
Of course you can't, but I worked myself up from that to like a district manager, different jobs. But I'm just saying, like, if I was getting paid $4.25, I was working like tons of hours, where it was little at the time, but eventually you keep proving yourself and you keep moving up, or you leave and you go somewhere else.
That's the theory. That's the theory, anyway.
So you worked in Burger? No, it's not theory, but you worked in Burger King. You worked at 18 or 20, right? And you just stood at minimum wage for your whole life.
The most I've ever made was $9 an hour.
Are you serious?
Yes.
In your 40 years?
Yep. The most I ever made was working at West Incorporated, and that was $9 an hour with no medical benefits.
And you graduated college?
Yep. But the job economy in Pensacola is not that good. You're lucky if you get a minimum wage job and not anything else.
And you never did anything with your writing? You never did anything with your editing?
I've tried. I've actually, I was a cartoon artist too. You won't be able to find it online. I did a superhero comic strip called Sonic Man when I was 13. I was one of the few teenage comic book, I actually wasn't a comic book artist because it was a comic book strip, but I did a comic book strip in Camden News in Camden, Arkansas. If somebody, if any trolls are on there, that might be a good way to troll me, but it would be the entertaining way. You could go to the archives in Camden, Arkansas, and look up the comic strip that I used to, that I had.
All right, so wait a minute. So you never, age 20, age 30, age 40, you never made more than $9 an hour?
Nope.
For 40, well, 20 years, you didn't make.
Yep, it's a bad economy, man. Most jobs just don't want to pay you that much.
Okay.
They just don't.
I'm done. Anybody else have anything?
It's frustrating to me because I have a background in IT, and I ran a computer repair business, but I never could make enough money even doing that.
How could you run a business and get paid $9 an hour?
Well, I actually, when I ran a computer repair business, I charged $20 an hour, but
you said the most you made was $9 an hour.
Yeah, but working for a job. But here's the thing: when you're charging $20 an hour, but people don't have any money in Pensacola. At most, when I ran my computer repair business, I was actually in the negative because the Yellow Page ad cost $1,000, and basically I was making $200 or $300 a month.
So let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask you another question.
Sure.
How old are you now?
45.
Where do you expect to be by 55?
Dead.
Where do you expect to be by 50?
Dead.
Where do you,
God damn.
where do you expect to be at 46?
Dead.
You think you're going to die in months?
This just got
dark. Yeah, especially if I get banned from LAX and it's raining and it's 52 degrees and there's no place to sleep. Yeah.
Wait, you think you're going to die in months? And you're okay.
We're all going to die. We're all going to die, man. Life is short.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you want to die by 46?
I don't want to die. I would love to pursue my dreams and try to make a living. I would love to do something that I would love to make a living wage for the first time in my life, but I've never had that fortune.
So
it's frustrating to me because I have so much knowledge in video editing and computer repair and IT. But the problem with IT, I'll tell you one thing why it's hard to run a business. It's even harder now than it used to be. The problem with IT is everything is so disposable. You don't really fix anything anymore. Most people are using their cell phones and tablets. It's disposable. You don't take it into a computer repair shop. They just throw it away. And it's not like it used to be. Like when I first got into computer repair, which was back in 1993, I used to buy a broken 386 computer for $50.
What kind of certifications? Do you have A+ certification?
I'm going to give you the dynamics of the golden age.
No, I asked you a question. Do you have an A+ certification?
I've taken A+ certification, yeah.
Okay, but you have one at this point. Valid.
It's kind of out of date. I got an A+ certification in 2003.
It's probably still active. That's when they grandfathered people in, and
it hasn't really made a difference. I put down that I have IT experience and IT training on my resume. Hasn't made a big difference. Actually, out of since I've been in the LA area, this is technically my second time going back to LA. I was in Pensacola for 3 months, and that was a disaster. But since 2012, out of all the hundreds and hundreds of job listings I applied for, I was doing this spam emailing thing for a while. That wasn't very productive.
For once, I just don't know what to say.
Oh, too.
In the conversation, I don't think it's appropriate for.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry.
Thank you for ending the podcast because I was going to add that.
Well, I can't talk anymore.
All right, see you later, Chris.
I mean, I can listen, but I can't talk anymore. My conversation is not appropriate.
What was inappropriate about what he was saying? There's nothing inappropriate about what he was talking about. Tell that bitch to mind her own business.
Yeah, tell that bitch to go.
Yeah, I don't want to get kicked out of here. I paid for a Starbucks coffee.
Is this somebody that works there that's talk? Is this somebody who works there that's talking to you like that, or is it like some?
That told me that, and so because
the people listening to your conversation, why don't you just drop out?
Two people complained.
Just whatever. You know what? Just drop out. Don't worry.
There wasn't anything inappropriate about.
That's what I was just told. I was told that
the
by
fucking hall.
Your hat is inappropriate.
I was told that by an employee that I was inappropriate. That my conversation.
Yeah, you spend $6 for a Starbucks drink and you can't even do a podcast. Okay.
Let me let me put my jacket on and go outside.
Yeah, step outside.
I'll go outside. That way.
Yeah, ask that bitch if it's okay if you step outside and do a podcast. You don't want to offend her puritanical sensibilities. That cunt.
Yes, in such a puritanical land as Los Angeles.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't talk about what happened with your family.
Yeah.
What a nosy bitch.
Like, people's stuff is more interesting.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm a chaos generator.
Yeah,
Well,
you just cause chaos.
I don't even have to try to make people mad, and I do.
You just get kicked out of Starbucks, basically.
You know, I never experienced such rudeness and aggression as when I stayed in Los Angeles. It just permeates the area. It's just anger and aggression. It's a horrible place in some ways, you know?
Hold on.
Just leave. Can't you just leave?
Hold on. I got to unplug my laptop safely without.
Hold on, it's just not that simple.
Alright, I'm going to mute him. I'm going to mute him because I'm getting music in the background.
Yeah, what kind of bullshit is that? Like, he wasn't saying anything inappropriate. This is garbage.
People are nosy holes and they're listening in on this conversation.
I know.
They should worry about their own fucking shit and not really, you know.
I guess that's just society nowadays, isn't it?
You know, I
know
wish
what
I could help him, but I don't know what to. I'm not even qualified to give him any advice, period. Because I don't
Well,
know what to say.
he said he thought he'd be dead by 46. You can't really say anything.
I don't want him to be dead by 46.
About that, can you? Because that's just.
No, but I mean, I don't want him dead by 46. He's got to get out of this rut that he's in.
Yeah. No, well, no one wants to be dead by 46.
Only thing you can do, you can't help nobody if they're not going to help themselves. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be blunt. You know, he had all this time. He had all this time to take care of all that.
I'm in shock that he just is okay with, you know, if I die in a couple of months, it's fine. I mean, I don't
Chris is telling us that he's afraid he's going to be dead by 46 or 50. He's got no long-term plan.
This is, like, not cool at all.
Crazy.
Just being a street warrior.
This is not cool at all, like, honestly.
Chris just got kicked out of Starbucks for all he was doing was telling us his story of his life. There wasn't anything inappropriate, and some bitch walked up to him.
What Starbucks is it?
Out in L.A.
Oh, which one is it?
I don't know which one.
We'll find out.
Does it matter?
We'll complain about it.
Yeah, we'll complain about it.
You know, do a review about it, too.
Yeah. Should I call Starbucks up? I'll call them up now while we're on the air and chew them out. You want me to do that?
Do that, yeah.
We're trying to help.
All right,
First of all, we try to help him, and they're being a bunch of scumbags.
We need to find out from Chris which Starbucks that is. I'll call him while we're on the air and put him on speakerphone. You can hear me chew them out.
The guy needs help. We're trying to help him. We're trying to figure out what he's homeless. And these fucking people are such a bunch of fucking snobs.
Yeah, fucking bitch.
Assholes. Why don't you fucking help him out, you pieces of shit?
No.
Yeah. Piss off, yeah.
That's fucking
I'm texting him now to ask him which location. Oh, Chris, what location are you at Starbucks?
My battery's at 99%.
What Starbucks are you at?
The one in Anaheim?
Wait, hold on.
Are you in Anaheim?
Put my headphones on.
All right. Hold on a minute. I don't know. I'm trying to find out. No, you didn't. Chris, which Starbucks location are you at? We see that you're at Starbucks.
El Segundo, right next to the El Segundo Mall.
Okay. I'm going to call him up while we're on the air here.
Yeah, you should call him up and complain. Say, hey, man, you shouldn't be harassing people. I mean, what was I saying? Yeah. What was I saying that was so inappropriate?
El Segundo.
El Segundo, okay.
I lost my wallet in El Segundo. I gotta go get it. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, apparently there was two people who thought they said I was yelling, and I wasn't yelling. I had my voice raised a little bit, but I was definitely not yelling. And they complained to the employee, and the employee complained to me, saying that I'm yelling too much, and she's going to ask me to quit because my conversation is inappropriate. I'm inappropriate.
I heard people in the background that were louder than you that were talking.
I agree, but apparently, I don't know. I'm a weird guy with a hat. People forget that LA is very conservative. There's not a lot of punk rockers here. There's not a lot of steampunkers here.
Are you at Chris, let me ask you a question. Are you at 530 North Sepulveda Boulevard, El Segundo, that Starbucks?
Yeah.
Or are you at the 2231 Rosecrans Avenue, El Segundo Starbucks?
It's right next to Best Buy. Hold on.
Is it Park Place? Park Place?
That doesn't help me out.
It's store 1000. Actually, no, that's Best Buy. Hold on. I'm trying to.
301-615.
Is there an address on the window?
I'm off of Rosecrans. I'm off. Okay, I just did a GPS coordinates. I'm off of Rosecrans.
So it is 2231 Rosecrans then.
Yeah, I'm off of Rosecrans Avenue.
Yeah, Chameleon's coming on.
Okay.
So you guys are going to complain on my behalf. I appreciate it.
You want me to go ahead and call them? I got the number here.
Do you want to do it off air, or you want to do
it? It'll be corporate though that you'd have to call.
Do you want to do it off air, or you want to do it on air?
Do it on air.
No, we're doing it on air.
Yeah. It's like, man, I paid $6 for a coffee just so I could use this Wi-Fi spot for whatever I want to use it for. And I could understand if I was talking about something like about pornographic.
And you're homeless and you bought a $6 coffee. That's saying something.
Well, I mean, I just needed a safe place to crash.
Wow.
I needed to rest because this backpack is heavy. I needed a place to rest and a place that had decent Wi-Fi. So it was sort of like a cheap hotel. That's the way I looked at it. If you don't buy, the way Starbucks works, if you don't buy anything, they won't let you use their Wi-Fi.
I'm in Starbucks.
And I politely went outside because I do not want to get banned because this Wi-Fi spot is a potential future resource that I need.
I should call up the Starbucks. Chris, hold on a minute. I should call up the Starbucks and ask them like what business it was of theirs kicking out one of the regional heads of Starbucks coffee and tell them I'm like in the upper management there and how dare they do that. I want to know their name because what's that? Secret shopper, yeah. What business do you have doing that? You fucking cunt. I think
Chameleon. Hi, Chameleon. How are you?
Don't use any profanity because that's not. I've done corporate arbitration with Big Ten tires before, and the best thing to do is not use any profanity because profanity is considered threatening.
Well, Chris, yeah. I'm not going to call them and do a formal review. I was going to like call them and.
He knows how to be professional. My ID knows how to be professional.
I just don't want to do anything that would ban me from here.
All right. So in other words, he wants. Okay, bye. Don't even call. He wants to put a call in there.
Okay.
The people who had issue with my voice and me talking are inside. So I'm outside now. So hopefully I'll be okay.
Just want to say that Starbucks is a wonderful place, except for those assholes that kicked you out. So.
Yeah, well, I technically didn't get kicked out, but it was. I volunteered to go outside because I just didn't want to get banned. That's the.
They're gonna call the police. They're gonna call the police now for Chris loitering outside.
Well, I'm not loitering. Actually, I bought a Starbucks. I'm not loitering.
Just tell the police that you're the street lawyer.
You have a lot more money than I do to buy a Starbucks. I couldn't even get
Starbucks is like the McDonald's of coffee too. It's like shit.
Actually, let me get my drink cup real quick because that's my evidence that I purchased something.
Oh God. Chameleon Tours, how are you tonight, sir?
Hello. Very good, thank you.
All right. So we're going to turn the floor over to you. You're going to interview him if you like.
Oh, okay.
And I am going to.
I sent an invite over to Chameleon to let him know we were talking to Chris tonight. So
yeah, I'm actually going to be silent for once, so I'm just going to enjoy the show and you just have fun. Oh my God, that was scary when he walked over. That could have been a horror movie right there. I just shit my pants when he was walking.
I need those cops for evidence because that way, if the cops do get called and they accuse me of loitering, I'll say I'm not loitering. I was a customer.
Well, we have you on the podcast too to show that you were in there and partaking of their product. So
yeah.
Yeah, could you like not show the logo of that place?
So okay. Sorry. It wasn't intentional.
That's cool. All right.
It was perfectly framed. It was like perfectly framed behind him. Starbucks coffee.
Chameleon Torch is going to ask you some questions.
Yeah, I mean, I was just I've sort of watched a few podcasts with you on it. You mentioned a few things that I was sort of wanting to ask you about. First of all, I guess your idea of chaos
generator. Well, you just saw an example of it. I have a talent for chaos generation. I make people mad without even trying. And this has happened to me in employment. It's caused me to get fired from several jobs. It's partially because I'm mildly autistic. I have a poor social cognitive processor. I don't read people very well. I like to say I'm not a mind reader. Just tell me what you're thinking. Be blunt with me. But most people don't function that way. Most people expect you to be a mind reader. And I'm just not a very good reader of people. And I have a bad habit of pissing people off, like what just happened in there. There was 2 customers I pissed off who complained to the employees, like, hey, this guy's being too loud, and he's being inappropriate.
Right, but wouldn't you say that's more actions and personality conflicting with that of others, rather than like a sort of chaos generator thing?
Well, there's 2 guys. One was a hipster douchebag, and the other one was a conservative elderly man. You know, and people forget that most hipster douchebags are conservative anyway. They're yuppie, you know, spoiled with their parents' trust fund people, and you know, they dress the latest styles. They dress like they're progressive, but they're in reality very conservative and very antisocial, very anti-tolerant. And
right.
you know, people forget that this is Reagan country. If you want to go to progressive California, you need to go to San Francisco. You know, I'm near Orange County. I'm near Reagan country. This is like the heart of the conservative part of California. People are very intolerant and very conservative here.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm not too sure. I haven't really encountered hipsters of that.
Well, they twirl the little mustaches. It would be cute if it wasn't so.
Yeah,
annoying.
well, all the hipsters that I know anyway are very left-leaning and very progressive, but
not all of them. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I've met some hipsters that were very right-wing.
But anyway, another question is, your films are very interesting.
Thank you.
In particular, I've forgotten the name of the first one, but it's the shorter version, like the 3-minute one.
Oh, is there audio in this? I got a director-producer credit for that. I got a director-producer credit on IMDb for that. Is there audio?
Okay.
Yeah, that was an art film I did in college.
I'm curious as to what it means. Like, if you know, if you have any particular.
I can tell you what it means. I purposely. It's a very abstract art video because I wasn't a communications major in college. I was an art major, and so the video editing, and I took 2 years of digital multimedia. It was geared towards making art videos. There's some other art videos I did that are just as weird as that one that I haven't released. I might upload them eventually. But that one is a metaphor for chaos. The dead squirrel. I didn't kill the dead squirrel, especially when I was in art college. People asked me, did I kill that squirrel? How dare you kill a squirrel? And I was like, I didn't kill it. It was a happy accident. I found it. And I was so bizarre because I was expecting it to be covered in maggots, but the squirrel was covered in wasps. Wasps were consuming the flesh as if they were maggots. And I'd never seen that before. And it was just so bizarre. I had to videotape it. And I was like, what can I do? What can I... Well, this is before I was steampunk. And what can I do? It was a precursor to who I am now. But basically, I was like, what can I do with this footage? And I was like, that's the perfect metaphor for chaos. You know, and so you see me, you see a much younger version of me with short hair. You actually get to see what I looked like before I was steampunk. And I was trying to do the whole conservative short hair thing and trying to conform and not succeeding at all. But so I did the video, and I'm thinking about like depression, chaos, things that trouble me, and the dead squirrel is a metaphor for things that are troubling me. And there's a little bit of a twisted sense of humor. I purposely, like through most of the video, I'm not talking at all, and there's only like one line of dialogue, and I'm like, I do believe there is audio in this. And that was, twisted sense of humor. That kind of make you ponder, like, why is he not talking? And then why is he only saying that? And then there is quite literally audio in that, but it's very minimal. So yeah, it's just a symbol of chaos and depression. That's what that video represents.
Right.
Well,
So it was
speaking
a
of-
metaphor.
It's a metaphor. The
Speaking
whole
of,
video is a metaphor for chaos and depression that I suffer and experience.
Speaking of the depression aspect of that, Chris, something Chameleon might have missed with joining us later in the podcast, as he did. You mentioned something about that you had some concern that you weren't going to live like basically another year.
Well, if I get banned from LAX, I'll have no place to sleep, and on days that it rains, like yesterday, I was very lucky. There's several shuttle bus drivers that won't give me a ride because they've recognized me. And I even tried not wearing my hat one day on the shuttle, but there's one supervisor who's an asshole, won't give me a ride. And if that happens to the point where I can't get a ride to LAX anymore, like yesterday, being at LAX saved my life quite literally because it was 52 degrees outside and raining, and everything was drenched. I mean, yeah, there's a ditch that I could sleep in, that I feel is pretty safe because it has very little foot traffic. But if it's raining and 52 degrees, you can die of hypothermia. So
I mean, is that what you were alluding?
I don't see how I'm going to be able to turn my situation around. All I'm going to do is try to fight it out as long as I can, guerrilla style.
Where I was going with that is I was saying, like, is that what you were referring to, or are you talking about doing something to hurt yourself?
No, I'm not talking about doing something to hurt myself. I'm just saying that I think that, when you're in the situation that I'm in, you have a high degree of probability of non-survival. I mean, like the LAPD a few weeks ago shot a homeless guy in El Segundo. I think it was in San Pedro. It's one of those LA area towns. Yeah, and he was unarmed, and they shot him 5 times. And he was obviously mentally ill, but they didn't care. Police are not trained for mental health. They just shoot. But, I have enough common sense. The 2 times I've been confronted by LAPD, I was very polite, even though I was a little bit angry with being harassed.
Well, you need to move to Georgia.
The real Chris fan.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Chris.
For some reason, my internet crapped out and came back on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chameleon. I just wanted to ask him a question. Chris, I learned a lot with this podcast, okay, and we really care about you as a friend, okay, and I have some concerns, okay. Well, I have to ask you this because I'm a little worried about what the answer is going to be.
Okay.
Okay. You would never hurt yourself, would you?
No.
You would never kill yourself.
I'm in an area that's awesome. I'm in LA because there's tons of conventions. As long as I have a safe place to sleep, I can keep doing this guerrilla style. But
you would never kill yourself, right?
No.
Okay, good. All right. I feel a little better.
I had thought about it, but I decided not to do that.
No. You're never going to think about it. You hear me? Ever. All right? Because here's the thing. Is Chris Ferner true to his word, or is he full of shit?
Steampunk Starraisin now. Chris Ferner was...
If Steampunk is full of shit, then he'll kill himself. You're not going to kill yourself. You're going to strive to be better. You're going to do things. I'm going to try. No.
I'm hoping.
What did Yoda say? Do or do not. Do or do not. There is no try. You're going to do it. Okay? And you're going to get out of your rut, and you're going to try to make yourself better. You can't give up.
I haven't given up. That's why I'm still...
well, you have given up. You want to know why you gave up? Because I don't like that attitude where you think you're going to be dead in a couple of months. Well, change your attitude. Change your attitude. How are you going to inspire others with your YouTube channel, and you want people to look up to you when you feel you're going to be dead in a couple of months?
I don't know. I said a year. It could be.
Yeah, but that's the wrong attitude, dude.
I'm just looking at statistical probability.
Yeah, but are you a leader or are you a follower? Are you a leader?
LAX for a year, it's probably.
Are you a leader? Are you a leader or are you a follower? Are you a leader or are you a follower? Are you going to follow what
a warrior is solitary.
So a warrior's a leader of himself.
No, a warrior is not necessarily a warrior is a leader of himself.
Of himself, right? Solitary. So you're a leader of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do all these wonderful videos and stuff. You do all these wonderful things, but how could you say to your fans like it's no big deal that you may not survive a couple months
Because I
or a
have
year?
emotional attachment. I'm very much like Commander Data. I've learned to detach my emotions.
Well, you need to. I'm telling you right now, you need to get out of that rut. And because if you are depressed, people see you depressed. Okay.
Well, I can't help that I'm depressed. It's just the way I am.
Well, you got it. You got to do something to better yourself.
I've tried.
All
Can
right.
I ask you a question, Joe?
Sure.
Chris, do you suffer from anxiety?
Yeah, I've been diagnosed by a psychiatrist as social anxiety disorder, but that was back in 2006. Social anxiety disorder, bipolar, ADHD, adult ADHD.
All right.
But the funny thing with the diagnosis is I'm being as real as I can get here. I'm even showing humility, like exposing stuff about myself that I probably shouldn't, that could be used against me in the future. But I don't care. I have nothing to lose. In 2006, the psychologist diagnosed me as bipolar, but the psychiatrist disagreed. He didn't think I was bipolar. He thought I just suffered from depression in connection with being ADHD and social anxiety disorder. Are you guys still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, okay. It just got really quiet. I'm not used to that.
Listening.
Oh, okay. And
This is all about you.
I think it's really funny. Social anxiety disorder. You can look it up online. That means I'm sad. You know, if you use the acronym, SAD, social anxiety disorder. I'm sad.
So how do we fix you? How do you fix yourself?
God.
What do you need to do to get out of this?
I need money. I need money so I don't have to be on the streets, because that's dangerous being on the streets. I either have to worry about police or other people attacking me.
I know that the healthcare service thing is totally different in America than it is over here, because you have to pay for it over there, don't you?
You have to pay for what?
For healthcare.
You can get public assistance. Do you already have food stamps?
I've got a Medi-Cal card.
He's got food stamps. He could eat.
No, but I was just about to follow that up with saying that I would recommend counselling, personally.
Fair enough. I might consider that. I've had bad experiences with psychiatrists. I don't like antidepressants. I don't like taking drugs since I take none.
Yeah.
The last antidepressant I ever took was Effexor, and all it did was kill my sex drive, and I would sleep 16 hours a day. It actually made me more depressed. It didn't do it, and there was like 2 other antidepressants I took. I took Wellbutrin. Wellbutrin just made me grumpy all the time. I took not Effexor. Well, I did take Effexor, but I took Concerta. Concerta for ADHD, which is a derivative of Ritalin. And it has a very similar research to drug. It has a very similar effect on your brain like cocaine. And I would agree with that based on I've never taken cocaine, but I've taken Concerta. And Concerta, when I would take Concerta, let me explain the effect that it had on my brain. And it was everything I could do in my will to resist snapping at people. Because when I took Concerta, I would notice little details. I was more alert. I would notice little details about people that I had never noticed before. And they would piss me off. All of them would piss me off. And it was all I wanted to do was snap at everybody, because everything they were doing was pissing me off. And it wasn't rational. But there was some part of my brain that was cognitive that I was like, man, this is not rational. This is like an overwhelming, irrational emotion, but I can't help it. I'm getting these emotions flooded through my head all the time, and it's because of this damn drug that they know nothing about. They experiment with you. These psychologists and psychiatrists experiment with you like you're a freaking lab monkey. And I don't want to be experimented with. I want to just deal with it my own way.
Where are you headed now?
I'm going to go back to LAX later on. This Starbucks doesn't close till 10. I paid $6. I'm going to stay here till 10 o'clock and use their damn Wi-Fi.
All right. Bro, I wish you the best. I mean...
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean,
I wish I had money to give you, but I'm kind of tapped this week.
Well, subscribe. That's another way you can support.
I'm already subscribed. Don't worry.
Hey, let me give you an even simpler way than subscribe. I uploaded a video game review for Splatoon. That's my latest video. I forgot about that. That's my last WonderCon video. It's got a little bit of WonderCon footage. You see the Splatoon. I did an epic short video game review. I did 28-second video game review because I feel like you can. No BS.
I will share it. I promise I will share it.
Well, no.
Everywhere.
Here's the key thing. E3 is coming up in 3 months, right? I know E3's credentials for press. I got rejected for press last year. I went to the media press room, and they told me 2 things. Their credentials for press at E3 Expo, I either had to have 10,000 subscribers, or I had to have a video game review within the last 3 months with 10,000 views.
Okay.
So if you guys can share that video and get it 10,000 views in 3 months, I can get press coverage. I can get press credentials for E3 Expo. That's the largest video game.
I will do my best to share it, and everybody else. Chameleon Tours, Mike, you want to read his question
And it's a no bullshit review. I just go straight to the point. I felt the game was very mediocre. But go ahead.
I will one second. I will put the link on your video that you want me to promote on this video.
Yeah, please do that because that will get me press credentials just having 10,000 views.
Okay.
These corporate bean counters, because E3 is run by a corporation, they don't care about if people actually watch your videos. They're just looking at numbers. They go to your YouTube page and they look at numbers. It's all about numbers.
All right. Mike, do you want to say something?
Well, Chameleon, he's on mute at the moment, but he had a question. He wanted you to explain why you're no longer Chris, but Steampunk.
Well, I have a new persona. Chris Ferner, that persona has died. And I'm legally in this body of Chris Ferner. I'm still Chris Ferner, but I am living Steampunk Starraisin 24/7 now. Just let me take Starbucks out. There we go. But so I'm living the persona of Steampunk Starraisin. I have a post-Steampunk page, which surprisingly is more popular now than my Steampunk Starraisin page. And the way I define post-steampunk is you're a steampunker in everyday life, every day. You're wearing steampunk clothing not for cosplay, but for everyday dress. I'm a post-steampunker as well as a steampunker. And,
was Chris just a persona when you were Chris, and now you're steampunk?
Well, everything is a persona. If you've ever taken sociology and psychology in college, which I have, I know enough to be dangerous. I have a background in art, so don't look at me for an expertise on that. But I can give you my opinion, and opinions can be flawed. But the process of becoming human, you're not a human when you're born. You learn to become human. You become humanized, and you learn that through socialization. And your personality is a persona. It's what your real personality inside. Most people never really see. They never really see it. Most people wear masks.
Well, what really are you inside?
I am Steampunk Starraisin. That's who I am now.
Okay.
Legally, I'm Christopher Ferner, but I'm also because I inhabit this body. But I have to become Steampunk Starraisin because I'm practically unemployable because between my bad credit, employers now Google your name. They Google your name, and if they Google my name, they're going to see that I'm the weird guy with a hat. And
maybe you shouldn't be Steampunk Starraisin. Maybe you should be Chris Ferner to get a job.
It's too late.
What do you mean?
Even when I was Chris Ferner, it wasn't working for me. The best paying job I had when I had short hair and I was trying to do everything by the rules, all I could get was $9 an hour, working for some shitty call center. And most jobs I had were fast food jobs. I never could get an IT or a computer repair job. I'm just not good with human socialization. I'm almost becoming post-human.
So who are you now? Are you Chris Ferner?
I'm a steampunker. I'm a steampunker. I'm also a post-steampunker, and I'm Steampunk Starraisin.
Hang on. What do you mean by post-human?
Well, most steampunkers wear steampunk only for cosplay, like when they go to conventions or Halloween.
Yeah.
But I am one of the few. I dress this way every day. And it makes me post steampunk because I'm adapting style of steampunk for everyday use.
Are you going to do a video where you explain your transition from Chris to steampunk so that people aren't confused?
I will.
About this?
Actually, I will. I don't give a fuck. I will do it. But
Chris, I think this is a mistake because you are Chris Ferner, you also are Steampunk Starraisin. But
I'm letting Chris Ferner die, and I'm focusing on Steampunk Starraisin. Like Kevin Smith told me, if you
I would also appreciate more videos on what steampunk is, because a lot of the videos, to me, steampunk is this kind of Victorian sci-fi imaginary future, and I don't really, there's some videos you used to do where you point out some steampunk things and in this world, but I just don't see that as much anymore. It's all cosplay.
It just seems
I understand.
steampunk. There's some schizophrenic kind of feel to me.
This shows you how disciplined I am. I used to smoke, and I found a half a pack of cigarettes today at the LAX, and I'm not going to even smoke them. Hey, do any of you guys want a cigarette?
No. No, we don't promote. No.
I mean,
First of all,
I was being silly. That's my attempt at humor.
That's
Actually, there's a reason why I kept that pack of cigarettes. I'm not going to smoke them. I am going to use them in a how
you can trade. Well, no. you can trade for other things, like in prison, like with the cigarettes and shit.
Yeah.
Swap things.
Actually, most prisons in California don't allow smoking.
I was going to ask you, what date, so that I'm not confused with this, what date did Chris die and steampunk arise like a phoenix from the ashes?
I would say when that senior video editing job interview failed, I realized that I'm too tied to the identity of Steampunk Starraisin.
Is that when you called that woman like 3 times in one day?
No, I called her 3 times in 3 days.
So
I called her once on Saturday because I had to confirm her email, and I called her, and she was supposed to get back with me on Monday.
Chris, listen to me. Okay. Chris, I think your problem is you have a hard time listening and paying attention.
What do you expect?
Let me explain something to you.
But is that Steampunk or Chris that's got that problem?
Whoever.
I actually think that it's just he's got problems accepting himself for who he is.
Right. Well, let me just finish. She told you to email her assistant. Well, that email. She says email this. She said email it to this address.
She said there was confusion. She said she goes, you got my email. Just email it to my email, and then I realized I didn't have her email. I had her assistant's email.
Okay, but what do you think her assistant does?
Yeah, but I called. Yeah, but I called to confirm on Saturday that I had the right email. That's a prudent professional thing to do. That's normal.
Chris, I was a district manager, store manager. I had assistants. Okay. Mm-hmm. Your assistants are there to assist you, to help you. Yeah. Any messages that are coming for her, she's going to relay it to her.
Yeah, I mean, this lady was actually, when I talked to her on Saturday, she was confused. She goes, I'm glad you told me that you emailed it to Tim. I won't mention his last name, but because she goes, I'm glad you emailed it to Tim because I wouldn't have gotten it because I only checked my own email. That's what she actually told me on Saturday.
Okay, but why did you bother her on Monday?
Because she was supposed to call me. I waited till late.
There was no time limit on Monday. What time did you call her on Monday?
Like 4 or 5 o'clock.
In the afternoon?
It had been all day.
You called 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah.
Okay, so don't most places work till like 6?
I don't know. I've never worked there before.
Why couldn't you just wait?
I don't think it would have made a difference, man.
I think it would have.
I don't think it would have.
Chris, have you been diagnosed with schizophrenia?
I have not. I don't hear voices. I'm not like my sister. My sister's been diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Yeah, but schizophrenics don't necessarily hear voices. I mean, that could be symptomatic of that, but I mean, it's not always.
But if you're,
I do have the faulty Turner genes, and I have the faulty Powell genes, which is the reason why I will not read.
But you got the Street Warrior genes.
So
it offsets it.
But I mean, runs in my mom's.
Chris,
Sorry,
Chris, you said in your video you thought you had the job.
I thought I did, but I don't read people. I don't read people well. I'm not able to read people at all.
When I was explaining to Connor, yes, you have to be persistent, but when someone gives you instructions that they're going to get back to you,
and they never did.
You don't, but you didn't give it the whole day. At least wait till the next morning.
Like it the whole day. I don't feel like
4 o'clock.
I'm trying to inquire about my professional future.
But you gotta.
Rude to call. It's not rude.
Honestly, dude, if I was interviewing somebody and if I said I will get back to you on Monday, and let's say something came up, like a conference call, and I didn't get to that person, and if somebody was calling me constantly about I got the job, they probably wouldn't get the job.
I wasn't calling constantly. I called twice on Monday because I had never heard anything back, and it went straight to her voicemail. And I called once on Saturday to make sure I had the right email.
You called her at 4 o'clock?
Yeah, like 4 or 5 o'clock, somewhere around that.
When was the second phone call?
It was late in the afternoon.
When was the second phone call?
I think we're overanalyzing the situation.
When was the second phone call? What time was the second phone call?
Like around 6.
So 2 hours later?
Yeah. Because I hadn't heard anything back.
But why don't you give him a chance to respond if you called them once?
Well, look at it. She said that she needed to get the ball rolling by Monday.
Okay, but why don't you give them a chance?
Hold on, logically, if you think about it, if she was really, she sounded she was desperate for a video.
This world, first of all, they're not desperate, and second of all, the world is not logical anyway.
Well, there's a lot of everything.
This isn't Star Trek. The world isn't logical. It's illogical.
I think James has a question, I think.
For everything.
Yeah. Dude, you got to give people a chance to hire you.
I did.
James, were you about to ask him?
I try to be persistent and be a squeaky wheel. Squeaky wheel gets the call.
No, it doesn't.
Steampunk.
That's what you said earlier.
I said persistent, but if they tell you to, if they tell you they're going to contact you.
Damned if I don't then.
No,
Chris, James has a question for you.
All right.
I've been on my same job for 25 years.
All right.
For the same company. And this is how I got my job. First of all, you got to fill out the application, give them at least 24 hours or at least a week to call you back. Do not call them constantly. If you call them constantly, they're going to throw up 2 or 3 red flags on it. First of all, he called me constantly. Like, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this job. Number 2, they got to have time to look up your application, look at it, check your references, and everything else. So, you got to give them time to look up all your
the fact is I didn't call them constantly.
Chris, if I may add to that, hold on, let me say something. Yeah, to add to what James was saying also, Chris, I understand kind of what Chris is saying, because, I mean, in a way, I'm not saying I agree with you totally. What I'm saying, though, is that it's always, Chris, you have to understand, it's always more important to the person who's putting in the application. It's a high level of importance to you, but to them, they might just leave it on the desk for like a week or a matter of days or whatever. It's not as important to them as it is to you. So I understand where you're being very pushy about the whole situation and trying to get things in motion.
I was trying to be a servant. That's all.
Chris, when someone gives you instructions, they're going to get back to you on Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
By you calling, that shows that you have doubt. That you don't know if you have the job or not.
Of course.
That's a negative against your application, against your character.
That can't be helped.
Chris, you don't listen. You keep having to keep quoting things from books.
Yeah, but she said she needed to get the ball rolling on Monday, and she did not contact me.
But stuff fucking happens. Maybe they had a conference call.
It's kind of like, hold on a minute. Joe, hold on. It's kind of like It's kind of like you meet like a new girl, you go out on a date, and it comes off desperate by doing that because it's almost like leaving, having a good date, and then you come home and you call her and go, oh hey, want to make sure you got home okay, and call her again and go, oh hey, how you doing? What are you doing today? It seems a little desperate.
You know what I think it was, Chris?
I am desperate.
You know what I think it was, Chris? I don't think it was Chris Ferner. I think it was fucking Steampunk Starraisin that fucked up that interview.
I doubt it.
Oh, I don't think so. I think
maybe
he
the
fucked it up
Steampunk
because
persona.
he didn't want Chris Ferner to take
I think it's
off.
conjecture. I think it's very much conjecture.
Well, I have a fair question to ask, though. You said that you've always been steampunk. Maybe steampunk is the persona that's the negative persona that you should take. Maybe you should be Chris Farner, not steampunk.
I think so.
Oh, no,
I've got a question.
You took that hat off. You took that outfit.
I've succeeded more as Steampunk Starraisin than I did Chris Ferner.
I don't know about that.
It's working for me.
Chameleon had a
It's
question.
not.
I believe.
Yeah. With because you said that both Steampunk and Chris are personas, right?
Well, I mean, I didn't do steampunk until 5 years ago, and I decided to change my life and wear steampunk every day because trying to conform, people still thought I was weird. People, I remember working one job and I got the nickname of Spock because I would have I learned emotional detachment and to be as distant as possible so that I could be neutral at a job. I have neutral emotions, have no emotion at all, and I would still get picked on and still be made fun of, and people still thought I was a weird guy, even when I had short hair and I didn't wear a hat. So I was like, I am going to, instead of trying to hide who I am, this is who I am. I am Steampunk.
Well, see, there's some hope, though, for you. There's some hope, though, because I keep calling you Chris, and you respond to my questions by saying Chris, not Steampunk. So you have
whatever, but I am Steampunk Starraisin.
Well,
I'm going to live that.
but you're blowing that off. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, you're responding to people calling you Chris.
Well, I mean, so that's the precursor to who I am, but it's not who I am now.
But another thing as well is that it seems a bit like unnecessary semantics in that with an identity, you don't suddenly transform. It's a succession of previous identities, if that makes sense. Like, it's not, you don't suddenly become a different person. There is like a transition between each.
Well, I've been transitioning for 5 years. I'm pretty much done.
Right, but wouldn't that still entail that you're Chris Ferner?
Legally, I am, because I inhabit this body and I have the same thing.
He's like the Doctor. He just regenerates. He takes on a different personality.
Chris.
I'm gonna live. Yes. I'm gonna live from now on. I'm gonna live the way I want to live, even if it kills me, because it wasn't working. I was miserable 5 years ago, with short hair and no hat, and people just thought I was a weird middle-aged guy. People thought I was a weird middle-aged guy. I have slept with beautiful women because of this hat. This hat got me laid. I met people who thought I was interesting.
Well, now you're a weird, long-haired guy that wears a steampunk hat.
The steampunk guy.
Middle-aged guy.
I like you.
You're the same guy. You're just wearing a hat now.
Wearing a hat.
Exactly. Steph told me, he goes, Hollywood, you need to stand out. You need to have your own signature look.
Somebody takes your hat, you're fucked.
What?
Chris.
Just like somebody takes Popeye's spinach. If somebody takes your hat, you're fucked.
Well, I'll give you some sage advice. Listen up, Chris. I'm gonna give you some sage advice. I'm coming from me. Okay. Do not worry about what people think about you. Be your own self, because the person you really rely on is yourself. So don't worry about people. People gonna hate on anybody. I got haters. Everybody on the podcast probably got somebody that don't like them too much. But
absolutely,
we don't worry about.
Yeah, make everybody happy.
Worry about yourself.
Especially Joe.
Yeah.
I realize. You see, you gotta understand where I'm.
Wait, is it Joe or is it Matrix Lord 212? I don't know, man. I may have to get into the.
You're making fun of me. That's understandable.
No, I'm not. No. I'm making fun of myself. There's a difference.
Okay.
I'm making fun of myself. I'm allowed to make fun of myself.
I got it. But you gotta understand that trying to conform, people still thought I was this weird. They thought I was this weird middle-aged guy. At age 40, I guess you could call it a midlife crisis. But I was like, I lived in a house with meth heads. I had a house that had a leaking roof. And I had a house with no working. The septic tank system was on the verge of collapse. I was making $9 an hour working for AT&T. No medical benefits. I couldn't even go to a doctor. I had no girlfriend, no relationship prospects. I hadn't. In 2010.
Okay, but what's changed?
It'd been 2 years since I hooked up with anybody. It'd been 2 years since I hooked up with anybody, let alone a relationship. People thought I was this weird middle-aged guy, and I'm like, I need to be charming. I need to be more extroverted. I need to transform myself, become not Chris Ferner, something entirely different. And I've done that. I get girls all the time in Hollywood Boulevard who think that I'm Johnny Depp. Usually they're drunk, but people that like my signature look.
so.
This is my signature look, and I get Willy Wonka comments. That's the most common thing. Hey, Willy Wonka, and girls taking pictures with me. You know, there was this 6 drunk girls on Hollywood Boulevard. When I told them I was not Johnny Depp, they didn't believe me because they were too drunk to believe me. They were like, "No, you're Johnny Depp. You're just trying to put us off." And I'm like, "I'm not Johnny Depp. I swear, I'm not." I appreciate the compliment because I know he's a sex symbol and a handsome man. But go ahead. So they asked me to sign their Starbucks cup, and so I signed it amberstreet.com instead of signing it Johnny Depp.
Don't you think though that sort of shows how you've become more of a character than an actual person, though?
Yeah, and I have no problem with that.
Right, but you don't think you've sacrificed anything in the process?
No, I had nothing to lose. I was not doing well in Pensacola, playing it safe. I needed to risk everything.
Just to backtrack as well for a second, you said that you become post-human. I was wondering what that means.
Well, I feel like I've been dehumanized. I've experienced a lot of cruelty here in LA, but I also experienced a lot of cruelty in Pensacola. And humanization is a process that you learn as a child growing up. If you've ever taken a course in psychology and sociology, you realize that you learn to be human. Like children who were raised by wolves, which is very rare because most of the time they don't survive. But the few children who survived raised by wolves, like one girl in Russia, had a hard time learning any cognitive language because the way your brain works with wiring, if you don't learn a language by age 4, you have a very hard time as an adult learning a language. And she still acted like a wolf. She would still cower down on all, even as an adult, and still. You know, she never fully humanized because she never learned to be a human as a child. So she was wolf. She was culturally a wolf.
Okay, so
human, I'm like somebody living in the post-apocalypse. You know, if you look up the post-human terminology,
yeah, so apocalypse now.
I didn't invent that term. That's something. Like in a lot of sci-fi, they describe post-humans are people who are scavengers who survive, and they've dropped a lot of the normal human characteristics and become something more.
So hold on, Chris. What I don't check from all this, you do not have a good relationship with your mom and dad. Y'all don't talk. Y'all communicate.
I talk to my mom on occasion.
Yeah, but only for like financial support or something like that. I mean, I think all 3 of y'all need to get in the room by yourself and have
Well, I'm not.
Get all this stuff, situation, get it all out there, get it straightened out. So apparently that's what all y'all need before they leave this world. Y'all need to communicate, get all this stuff together. I'm just giving you my opinion. That's it.
Oh, I appreciate that. I have too much resentment against my father. My father doesn't want to talk to me anyway.
Well, one of y'all gonna have to get the ball rolling.
The thing that sucks about my movie, A Wandering Mind, the God Machine, is when I compressed it to standard definition, I noticed that when I was playing the movie the other day, it cut off a lot of the heads. Because it was filmed in DVD, it was filmed in 480p, so it's really a crappy version of the movie. What I plan on doing is I have the raw movie files still on a backup hard drive. I'm gonna this year, if it's the last thing I do, I'm gonna re-edit A Wandering Mind and God Machine. I'm gonna take out a lot of the narrative dialogue, and I'm gonna do a compressed 480p version and re-upload it to YouTube so the heads are not cut off because it looks very unprofessional.
So what is the theme of that movie like? What are you communicating with the theme of that film? Is that autobiographical? I mean, I know to a certain degree.
It's semi-autobiographical. I don't have a brother. The character Tom is based on me, but I don't have a brother. The brother character is a composite character of several guys that I was best friends with that I thought were best friends, and I thought they were like a brother-like person that I could look up to, but they ended up betraying me. And so it's...
Can I ask you a question? What's a brother?
I don't have a brother.
Well, what the fuck is a brother?
What?
Oh, brother. Oh, okay, brother. I didn't know I'm sorry.
There's a little bit of audio distortion there.
Oh, okay. I thought I was missing something there. Well, can you explain something? And this is going to be a minor spoiler alert, but what the fuck happened at the end of that movie?
Have you watched the movie?
I just watched it again the other day. John and I watched it together
Well,
a couple
it's,
years
it's,
ago.
the movie is based on postmodern literature. If you know anything about postmodern literature, like the movie Vanilla Sky, the movie Vanilla Sky, Abre los Ojos, or Open Your Eyes, which was Vanilla Sky is a remake of Open Your Eyes. And if you look at movies like Donnie Darko, they're postmodern literature where the movie is fragmented. There's plot elements that are fragmented, and it's non-linear. It's non-linear.
Yes. I understand the concept very well. I'm just asking, what the fuck happened at the end of the movie?
Well, see, it prompted you to watch it twice because you didn't get all the details the first time you watched it. It's like a puzzle.
I was watching it the second time for entertainment value. I wasn't puzzled by it.
Okay, I've got a question.
Did you notice my cameo as an extra in the background?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, you were reading the newspaper. Look it up. Yeah, Chameleon had another question for you, Chris.
I could tell you it's a very complex plot. If you want, it'll take about 10 minutes to explain it. But go ahead. What was your question?
I was gonna say, like, some of the stuff you mentioned, like, I'm a big art house film buff, so I sort of appreciated like what you did, but with in particular, because I didn't really get to watch the second one because it was like an hour, but with the first one, the 3-minute one, I asked you what it meant and you gave your reply, but wouldn't you think it's very difficult to detect that from just viewing the film as itself?
Well, it's abstract, and what it means to
me.
But
even abstract art has something that you can sort of grasp and something tangible that actually it has a sort of meaning to it, whereas this was more just like a sort of succession of sort of metaphors for your own philosophy.
Fair enough. But you were still fascinated by it. You still liked it, even if you didn't understand it. I actually purposely do. Okay, in my paintings, on my Facebook, if you're actually you'd have to be friends with me. You can add me as.
What is that?
I don't know.
Is there audio in that?
Oh, somebody got muted. Okay. I purposely.
What the hell?
Maybe Starbucks is trying to take me out.
That's FICA, the Illuminati.
Are they closing their Wi-Fi?
It's probably wind on my mic. It's wind on my mic. I know where my mic is, and I can shield the wind. I'm using the mic that's built into the laptop.
No, it's not you. It's another guy.
It's another guy. Oh, okay.
It shows the sound levels.
Okay. If you look at you'd have to add me because there's an art portfolio that I have on my Facebook. But the way I paint is the way I do movies, or at least recently. The way I do movies and the way I paint, I want some ambiguity. I want some confusion. That's the chaos. Chaos makes things interesting. If you have a too literal of interpretation of a painting, like Mona Lisa, has become boring. I mean, I appreciate Leonardo da Vinci's painting and his effort in doing it, but you pretty much know that it's just a commission portrait of a mysterious woman that he knew. And everything is very literal. You see the Renaissance landscape in the background, and it's interesting from a historical point of view. But as far as from trying to understand it, it's become boring because you know everything. And I like to have ambiguity in film. I don't like it. Like Alfred Hitchcock once said that it's more scary not to see the killer or the monster. You don't full out see it. You see hints at it. It's more scary. Wow, that's so annoying. Anyway, it's more. I paused my conversation because I was trying to wait for the static to end. But yeah, it's more scary to have some ambiguity because then your mind fills in the void and comes up with all kinds of crazy crap, And that's what I try to do in my film. I purposely put ambiguity. I want some confusion because I want you to watch it a second time. Maybe you have a different interpretation, like an abstract painter of the 1950s. Splatter paintings. It may mean something entirely different to you than it did to the painter. And it doesn't really matter. As long as it means something to you, as long as it moved you in a particular way, and you're like, okay, this doesn't mean chaos to me. This means a dead squirrel, and It was sad that the squirrel died. I'm just giving a hypothetical interpretation. And so, you know, I like ambiguity because you can fill in the void with your own mind and your own imagination and come up with your own. It can be an entirely different movie to you, or it can be an entirely different painting to you. And I sincerely try to do that. I'm going to do a better version of. I'm going to edit a better version of Wandering Mind the God Machine. I'm going to take out the narrative dialogue and do a compressed 480p where the heads are not cut off. I'll probably be out within the next month. I'll try to upload it to my YouTube. But yeah, I mean that was surreal. I don't know how I got that film done on such a low budget. It was literally no budget making that movie.
Yeah, well, as you said, it does use a lot of ambiguity, and it's definitely postmodern. I don't know. I guess I would say maybe that it's just a little bit obscurantist in that it's sort of the meaning is very difficult to ascertain.
Well, some people say that about Donnie Darko or Vanilla Sky, and Vanilla Sky is actually more literal than what people give it credit for. Go ahead.
Right, but the difference between Donnie Darko is that it has, even though you don't maybe. There are different interpretations. Those interpretations are still informed by interesting production, a sort of similar narrative that maybe isn't, is very complex, but it is persistent throughout all interpretations. Like, I don't know. Have you seen Dog Star Man?
I have not.
Okay. I haven't seen Donnie Darko in like 10 years, so I can't really use that as an example. But if you see a film, there is always going to be a sort of basic narrative structure that every interpretation will include because that's how the film is. But your interpretations are sort of bent from that.
Well, yeah, I can understand your interpretation because is there audio in this? It's very non-linear and there's no plot structure to that film. And it's only 2 minutes. That's why it's only I think it's 2 minutes 5 seconds. It's only
David Lynch's Mulholland Drive is an example also.
I love David. That's another thing. That's another good that you mentioned David Lynch. I was heavily, when I made A Wandering Mind and God Machine, I was heavily influenced by Richard Kelly, the director of Donnie Darko. I was heavily influenced with Cameron Crowe, Vanilla Sky. I was
Southland Tales.
Yeah, Southland Tales had yet to come out when I made that movie. But I love Southland Tales. If I ever make another movie, Southland Tales also has inspired me. I love Southland Tales. Very underrated movie. Sony Pictures, being the bastard that they are, they bought the rights to Southland Tales and deep sixed it to DVD release. They refused to promote it because they thought it was politically controversial, and they thought it was too weird for a mainstream audience. But yeah, you haven't seen. I apologize. What's your name again, sir? The one with the tie.
Just Chameleon to us.
Chameleon. Okay, Chameleon with the. You've seen his audio in this. Yeah, sure, I agree with you. There's no plot structure to that film at all. It's purposely abstract. I did that in digital multimedia class back in. I filmed that in 2003, and I didn't release it to a film festival until 2006. I did a re-edit, released it to a film festival in 2006, and that's the reason why I got a 2006 IMDb credit for that. But yeah, that has no plot structure, and that was done on purpose because that was just like an abstract painting. But is there Wandering Mind and the God Machine does have a plot structure. It's just that it's a little bit loose and purposely confusing. I purposely wanted to have some ambiguity in that, but I didn't really answer Michael's question. I should answer that, but I'm worried it's gonna. If you guys want to watch it, it's free. It's just a crappy compressed standard definition version on YouTube. It was going to take forever to upload the DVD quality. I had a high-resolution DVD quality, 480p, but it was going to take like 10 hours to upload, so I compressed it, but then it messed up the video a little bit. Some of the heads are cut off in some of the scenes.
Is there going to be like an anniversary Blu-ray release of that film or something coming up?
Well, it was never filmed in Blu-ray. It was filmed before Blu-ray technology had come out. It was filmed in 2004, 2005. And then I did a re-edit of A Wandering Mind and God Machine in 2006. I'm thinking about doing an anniversary re-edit since it's 10 years since it released. I'll do an anniversary re-edit. And actually in the re-edit, I might put some visualizations and do new narrative dialogue, but make the narrative dialogue much shorter.
So the question is the new version going to be directed by Chris Verner or Steampunk?
It'll be accredited to Chris Verner, and it'll be re-edited. Steampunk Starraisin won't be directing the re-edit, because you don't direct a re-edit, it's a re-edit. It'll be re-edited by Steampunk Starraisin. I'll put Steampunk Starraisin in the credits.
Okay.
I didn't fully answer your question earlier. The static confused me. Let me try to simplify. Let me give the. I don't know why I never did a trailer for it. That's another thing, is I might edit a trailer for the first time. But
why don't you do a video?
I'll give you a basic plot synopsis to explain it. Basically, Tom, the main character.
I tell you what. Instead of the explanation on here, why don't you do a video where you kind of explain the themes, and I'll just watch it, and you'll get a lot of views, from people watching the explanation.
Well,
so that way you're not spoiling it.
I doubt I'll get a lot of views, but I'll do an explanation video. Wonder Man and Guy Machine is not that popular. I think there's a fan page for it on Facebook, but it's gotten like 42 likes. It's not that popular. It's kind of considered an obscure film. It only played at one film festival. It played at the Dragon Con Film Festival 2005.
Well, we got another question for you.
Sure.
Is your chaos generating what is causing John's computer to fuck up? Is that your chaos generator abilities?
No.
Okay. All right. Well,
I don't know. I mean, John, are you running a desktop computer or a laptop?
He's doing
You're still muted. Oh, okay. His audio. Maybe it's a problem with his mic and nothing.
Chameleon.
I can't hear you. It's all static.
Chameleon, do you have any other questions for Chris Verner?
Not at the moment. I mean, I'd be interested to watch that video where he would explain his other film, and I guess I'll have to watch that at some point and think of more questions. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of questions after you see that movie.
I want to close this out because this has been going on really long, and I want to see Chris do his own videos and talk about the subject. So, Chris, thank you very much.
And by the way,
I'm sorry if it's my life seems distressing. It is.
No, it was very interesting.
Let me point out real quick that in the comments section here, people can come on and maybe leave some questions they may have for Chris, and then we can do another cast,
right,
a little while from now, and bring those questions to Chris because he's a wealth of information.
Yeah.
Chris, I have a semi-photographic memory. That's why I operate much more like a computer.
Right.
I say semi-photographic because I'm bad at remembering names. If I truly had a photographic memory, I would remember.
We just want the best for you, bro. I mean, we want you to be motivated to achieve great things, and we don't want you to give up. That's the whole point.
I'm not giving up. I'm just, it's been rough. I'm not gonna lie.
I know.
We have a special request too that Chris does a special sign off like he does in the videos when the podcast ends.
Okay.
All right, so you will be the one that finishes off, and I will give it to you, Chris Verner.
Or Steampunk Starraisin now.
Yeah, but you didn't. Just now you tell me that, but I said it a million times already, Chris, and you answered. So.
Anywho, this is Steampunk Starraisin, AmberStreet.com. You have a nice day, and I will see you in 25 billion years.
You forgot to say I will.
I will. Oh, I will.
Oh, you screwed the whole thing up. No.
Okay, I'll do it again. All right, wait. It's screwed up.
Oh my God! For the first time in history.
Do it again.
I'm always watching around my corner. I don't want to, after all the hostility.
I think Steampunk screwed up. We need Chris Vernon to do it. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm joking. I think.
What I mean by Steampunk Starraisin is I'm going to live with this hat from now on. 24/7.
Actually, I want to see Chris. I want to see.
People are going to have to take me like I am not at all.
Hang on. Quick question. If
Hold on a minute, Chris.
The hat, would Steampunk die?
Okay.
Repeat the question.
Chameleon asked you.
Cutting out. I didn't understand it.
Chameleon asked you if you lose the hat, does that mean that Steampunk dies?
No, I mean it's just like It'd be the same as if I removed my, some people during the Civil War got their jaws shut off, and they had to get a glass jaw. They were still the same person without their jaw. The hat is part of my face now, but I'm still the same person. I just have a detachable face.
Master Qui-Gon, what's metachlorians?
Oh.
I like
midichlorians.
Fucking Lieutenant Rex.
Ben Kenobi's like
microscopic life forms.
Younglings.
Oh, Lord.
Actually, I think Chris should do his sign off, but he should actually go into Starbucks and tell them that he'll see them in 25 billion years and see what they say.
They probably call the cops.
Oh God! All right, Chris. I'm sorry. Steampunk Starraisin. This is your exit.
Are you going to do your sign off, Chris?
This is your exit.
There's no audio in this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, my internet crapped out and came back.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, good.
It's 10:03 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I am still using Starbucks Wi-Fi, even though they're closed.
Yeah. Well, do your sign off, Chris, for us.
This is Steampunk Starraisin, AmberStreet.com. You have a nice day, and I will see you 25 billion years. I will.